Oh dang, he's like a minute ahead. All of Kakariko already checked. Oh, here we go. Are we back? Can you hear us?
Yes. Okay.
It looks like Azure went to the bomb hut to try and get some bombs. He's gonna go now.
Seems like we're running now.
So we'll get to see all the Kakariko checks.
And apparently Azure didn't try the tree pull because he went and bought bombs.
Yeah, I saw him walking out of the bomb hut, so he might have gotten one from a drop or something, and then went and used it on the bomb hut. But I don't know. I hard to say because we kind of came in right as these things were happening.
Well,
A little surprised he didn't do a tree pull because I know that's usually the way he'll start off is he'll do that tree pull. But
I was going to say the thing about us not getting Bugnet is we're going to have to do a Hammer Agatu.
That's true. Yeah, no one's gonna do that. Yeah, it's a little more significant. You're right in the swordless mode. Hammer does work for both Agas. I mean, unless there is one caveat. I mean, if this is like Aga 1 for Dark World, then you probably just go pick it up. Yeah, maybe.
So we just found quite a few things: Fire Rod and Flute sitting in the well, and Bombos on the bottle bender.
Those are all significant.
Now, in Swordless, medallions are a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I kind of
medallion squares.
I kind of hate the way medallions work in Swordless. Because you're already hamstrung enough by not being able to have a sword, and then you don't have the ability to just pull out a medallion. So there are places in Ice Palace, the spots where you would normally have to kill the Freezors or in Cold Stare, that have little medallion symbols for in particular Bombos, and then of course the entries to Turtle Rock and Misery Mire. So other than that, those locations they're pretty useless.
Well, but having Bombos does make a difference in the Cold Stare fight, because since we also have Fire Rod, it means we can use Bombos on Cold Stare and then have magic to use Fire Rod strats.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
we don't have to resort to Hammer.
Yeah, having that Fire Rod Cold Stare is honestly better than like Master Sword Cold Stare. Let's see, Pendant in Desert and regular crystals in Hera and Eastern.
Yep.
And I'm not sure.
Blue overworld map.
Not sure if Asder did race game before coming up to Kakariko while we were off. So we're about to find out if there's anything there and if maybe he missed anything. A bottle in the library that's probably never getting picked up.
Yeah. Never know. But yeah, the bottle. It becomes a sick kid check.
It does indeed. Just a heart piece on the race game. So if Asher didn't check that, then he's not going to be missing anything. Heart container, I think you picked that up.
Definitely.
Not too far out of the way, and it's a full heart container. 10 bombs for Mini Moldorm will be really good. Bush Crab doesn't give us anything of use. Mini Moldorm not playing nice. There we go, that's a little bit better. Oh my god, that was right in between the two on the left side and didn't hit either one of them. I was just gonna go grab that bomb. Because he was running out anyway. Yeah, that was not pretty, but it worked. Mirror, that's significant. Flippers. Too bad we don't have Zora money. There's our first sword that isn't a sword. That green 20 will represent the swords that we're not getting. Hayfield Bay having similar issues with these mini Moldorms, and he now does not have enough to finish it, so he's going to have to come back for that. And he is going to have to come back for it, because we did see a Flippers and a Mirror there. Pretty certain one or both of those is going to be required. we're going to get a peek over at Saha. Azure did not go all the way to Ice Rod Cave. With the flute, he can go back there anytime he wants. So maybe he wants to go back there around the time when he has enough money to also do Zora. At 396, not quite there yet. We're getting closer with that 50. But not quite there.
Yeah, I mean, getting into the point of you can almost farm. Oh, Hayfield had the bomb out. Forgot that he'd opened it already.
I know, that was pretty funny. Yeah, if he had realized that these Moldorms were going to drop bombs, he might have actually gone for it with just the 2 left, because could have gotten some lucky drops to make it work.
And they're being actually very good about the drops, too.
For 96.
Okay, now you just farm Zora money, okay?
Yeah, with what? The problem is, like, normally you just have a weapon you could kill things. I mean,
we haven't
really
gotten
have a
any
weapon.
magic yet.
No magic for the fire rod. So I think it looks like Azure's going to go over here to Aegina. He can see if there's a 20 that would be really useful right now. But not going to get that. But, you know, if there's an item, if there's even a 5 here, we'll get him enough. Just right now we have no usable weapons other than our bombs.
And Hayfield not sitting at quite as much money. I didn't quite catch where Azure got the
in Saha.
Extra.
Yeah, I think there was some money in Saha.
Probably about 70, given the
probably something like that.
Cash difference.
Okay, yeah, it looks like Hayfield can do the same thing.
You know, I was thinking Flute and Mirror give them access to Hera. They don't have the hammer to beat Moldorm. But that's an interesting thing about Swordless, that Hera is now a hammer-required dungeon.
Yeah, that's true.
But they have all the checks that aren't Moldorm.
That's a bomb. You do want that, but it doesn't really help you. Looks like Azure's going to try and kill this blue guard with these 3 bushes. It does take 3 of them. Nice magic refill. At least now you can use the fire rod to kill things.
Oh, Hayfield's doing the uncle route. Haven't seen this yet.
Yeah, with only 3 bombs, he's only going to really be able to do uncle itself unless a weapon shows up. You know, we might see Azure do this shortly after, because he does have that fire rod with magic. Although with only 8 shots, it's not ideal. I mean, we want the Moon Pearl. We need the Moon Pearl, but it doesn't help us for Zora money.
And Hayfield's actually getting his first magic off the people.
Oh, there's now a 497. We could farm that bush. Oh, there's a hammer. Okay, so this is going to make the escape much easier. Azure's going to get that hammer as well, because he's headed that way. By the time they're both done with this, we're going to have Zora money.
And I think then you do Hera, and how you can't beat Hera.
Yeah, that makes sense. We don't yet have a glove, so no Dark World access, but that makes a lot of sense. And
obviously, Hayfield will need to do his flippers checks.
Yeah, he needs to get that Moon Pearl. And the back of escape could be in logic. See if we get a small key here. With that fire rod, it does let you get all the way to the back if the key layout is proper. Okay, still unknown, but hey, that's Zora money.
Oh yeah, chat's asking about Azure Sprite. Which of the many links is this?
This is Parallel Worlds link.
Okay.
The ROM hack. It's the sprite he always uses. He's probably he's been using a hat color version of it. So if he gets blue mail, he's gonna turn yellow, which is kind of icky. But then if he gets red mail, he turns purple, and that's a really pretty purple.
Nice.
Purple is my favorite color, so.
It's a good color. Hey, and there's the bomb.
Yeah, those bombs would have been nice early, but, you know, who would think to go to Uncle to get your hammer right away? And also of note, Hayfield now has a decent amount of magic and could also go ahead and... I mean, you can do the escape without a fire source. It's not uncommon, but without a really good weapon to see off, hammer's a terrible weapon to see off of. I could see skipping it too. We haven't gotten a map yet, so it'd be interesting to see. Oh, there's the map. So the good thing about that
You were
map...
saying.
Yeah, so as much as it kind of sucks to get a map there, it does mean that if you do Dark Cross, you're either going to get a small key to go all the way to the back, or you're going to get an item. Worst case scenario normally would be going there just for the map, and then you can't even progress. I would expect Azure to do the same
nice
play.
To have the mirror this early, so they don't need a death warp.
Yeah, it's also nice, not even just not having to death warp, but also that you don't have to, you know, I think you'd be at 4 hearts with this number of hearts, which means your health just wouldn't be as good as normal, and, you know, it's a little less safe to do this section. And it's just a boomerang, so we're not going to be able to go to the back. Not really what you were hoping for, but, you know, like, at least you don't have to think about it.
I mean, French vanilla, right?
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so Hayfield...
Yeah, this is not in logic.
Hayfield's doing the mountain before the flippers.
Yeah,
you don't have a key.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. Azure probably going to do a similar play to the mountain. He's already done some of the flippers. Maybe he does, you know, he might do Zora first since he does have the money for it.
See if this is an 8 or a 1 flute.
I mean, Zora's a little more item dense. He does 4 items. And if it's absolutely nothing and he wants to keep his money, he could reset. But, you know, this is not usually a mode where money matters that much. And that's a glove, so that's going to be... It's combined Dark World access between our 2 players.
Interesting. Hayfield is leaving the mountain now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a dungeon you can do right now, plus East Death Mountain. That's a lot of checks. I'm really surprised.
Yeah. Oh, another sword in the waterfall cave, as well as the lamp.
Is he going to do... Oh, he's going to do backup escape. Okay.
Oh, yeah, 3 very quick checks.
I still think I would do Hera first. Like, Hera's not getting better. I mean, okay, I guess if you get a hook shot, Hera could get better. But it's actually only 2 items, because we knew that small key had to show up there. And that cape... Well, I mean, it's not an Agassiz, but if you're Hayfield, you could be thinking about that Moon Pearl that you're missing.
And if we get the boots to get that bottle or find another bottle.
Okay, this will be Azure to the mountain. I don't think he's got anything left. I imagine that he'll... I would do Hera here. Like, just do it. So we'll see if he does it. His glove will actually be in logic because he's got that lamp. Which, honestly, dark rooms, when you don't have a sword available, kind of nice to have that lamp. Green pendant, Thieves Town, ick.
Of course, Thieves Town is a pendant. But hey, at least we have the hammer for doing Thieves Town.
Yeah, we do. Hammer blind, ugh.
Okay, now Hayfield has Zora money, so he's probably more inclined to do flipper checks.
Yeah, I imagine so. But I imagine he's also going to get to that Moon Pearl last. Okay, Azure's going to get his glove, so that gives him Dark World access. For him, leaving it makes a little more sense. Yeah, he's going to leave. I still would just go ahead and do Hera, but at least in his case, he's got Dark World access out of this. So he can do Hera later.
Looks like Hayfield might actually be getting the Moon Pearl first.
Yeah. Azure also going to do backup escape.
We'll see how Hayfield reacts to having Dark World access. I mean, Azure has Dark World access. I wonder if either of them makes a quick hype cave play.
Azure likes the Hype Cave play early, so I'd expect that. Hayfield knowing that Thieves Town is a pendant, Azure doesn't have that knowledge, would make it more likely for him to want to go Hype Cave first, I think.
Oh, Hayfield had the flute out and he paused very briefly on the shallow water. I was wondering if he was just going to flute to 4 right there.
Or even flute to 8. I think it's actually maybe a little faster to flute to 8 and then just jump back into the water again.
Yeah, I guess usually it comes out of a saving point. Okay, there's our Dark World map. Pod and
A Meyer
Turtle
as
Rock
a
were 5, 6.
I saw Meyer as the other pendant.
There we go then.
Nice job letting go of that bomb in the wrong spot. Wow, we'd have 3 swords already.
Makes you want to cry, doesn't it?
It really does.
And besides a lot of money, all we got was the red meringue out of Hype
Yeah,
Cave.
not a very hyped cave. Well, I mean, I always talk about the hype is beforehand, not after. So, how many hype Super Bowls have we had that just weren't? Okay, where are we going now? Looks like maybe a pod play, which is kind of interesting because we don't have
Or
a
pyramid catfish.
Yeah, I mean, catfish is, maybe catfish is more of a defensive play on Azure's side. He's definitely lost enough races to catfish. Maybe he feels like he needs to do it here, but we are definitely going to see pyramid. And looks like Hayfield also going to go ahead and do start with Hype Cave as well. Just arrows on the pyramid though.
Yeah, I'm thinking Azure does catfish now, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I don't know where else you're going the way he's going right now. So yeah,
I mean,
think this
pod.
is a catfish play. He's going the wrong direction for pod.
Right. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I was
know
saying it as he was exiting pyramid screen.
Fair enough. Okay, we'll see where Hayfield decides to go. Kind of hate going catfish where you don't have like boots or mitts. You have to go all the way around there.
Yeah, Hayfield's doing a more conventional stumpy play, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got Stumpy K45 and Dig Game. And just bombs a catfish. Azure's
If this were the bomb squad, they'd be bombing catfish.
Oh yeah. Shoutouts to Fred. Okay, so now we're gonna get the Hera play. Now I wonder if he's doing this now instead of, because again we saw that Thieves Town being a pendant kind of makes that a little less good. Half magic not required, but certainly a nice item to have, especially in swordless, I think.
Well, at this particular moment, we've just put Spike Cave in logic.
Oh yeah, Cape plus half magic. Oh.
Well, maybe we should have climbed the mountain sooner.
Yeah, that might have worked out pretty well if they climbed the mountain. Those are myths. Sitting there on Spec Rock.
Oh boy.
Which means there's a ton of stuff. There's a ton of stuff on the mountain.
Taking a while to get those mitts because, he has Skull Woods.
Yep. Let's see what kind of layout we have for Hera here.
Yeah, our first entrance into a dungeon 21 minutes in.
Okay, we don't have to worry about the small key. At least not to get up, which is good, because we don't have a hook shot to avoid it. Oh, well, never mind. Hayfield is going to go ahead and get those mitts very soon. Again, probably with Thieves Town being a pendant.
Well, there we go.
Just want to... Okay, so we got a map and a big key. So hopefully we don't ever see the small key. Don't really want to have to deal with the decision on the basement. Oops.
And Hayfield, you actually wonder if he might do Spike Cave as his final check on the mountain.
I mean, either one of them might. In Azure's case, he doesn't quite have the hearts.
Did Azure pick up the cape?
He has the cape.
Right. He went to the back of his cape. That's where it was.
I don't know. Like, I know it's 14 hearts if you don't have anything. So I don't know if 6 hearts plus, because there's no logic in terms of how much damage you can take. That is not what you want to see there.
Did Hayfield get the book and I missed it? No.
Apparently he missed it. He didn't get the book.
I was thinking, I don't remember Hayfield getting the book.
A little surprised. I know Azure knows this bomb jump, so I'm really surprised he's doing this by falling. Got a 50-50 key on Moldorm. Hopefully it's not.
Given the key placement logic, it's actually slightly biased in favor of key on Moldorm.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen so many small keys locked in the basement.
Yeah, it's because of... There have been discussions about this. It's because after placing the big key, the game doesn't reshuffle the items before placing the small key.
There it is. Of course. There it is. I don't think he goes back in. Not now, because you can do all the mountain stuff, and then if you're still missing progression, you could come back here after doing like the Dark World stuff. You can mirror right in here. So I imagine he's not going to go back in. We'll see. Yeah, he's not going back in.
Yeah, so since you and I are math people, I might as well get into a probability a bit. But if you reshuffled before placing the small key, there would be a 2 in 15 chance of it winding up in the basement. Mm-hmm. But if you don't reshuffle, there's only a 1 in 15 chance.
Well, that's interesting.
Same thing happens in Thieves Town, that if you reshuffled, there'd be a 60-40 bias in favor of having the small key in the front, but since they don't reshuffle, there's a 60-40 bias in favor of having the small key in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Spiral Cave has. We'll see if Hayfield goes back in for the Hera basement. Now, I also wonder if Catfish had been something. I wonder if Azure would have made a different decision, because a lot of the decisions he makes will be based on how well his previous decisions went. So in this case, having spent extra time going to Catfish and getting nothing out of it, he'll try and cut a corner someplace else. No, Hayfield also. So if there's something in Hera basement, we're on equal footing.
Yeah. Otherwise, that could have swung the seed a bit if Hayfield found something suddenly, big lead. If he doesn't, suddenly he's handed Azure a minute or so.
Yep. Paradox case starting with 2 nothing items. Mini Moldorm Cave with that sword plus boots is awful unless you at least have a hook shot. Just saying.
That was a pretty nice bomb placement, though.
Yeah, it was. And there's a blue cane for Azure, making Spike Cave a lot more viable for him. And there's our bow, which automatically uses silvers. So I imagine we'll see Pod relatively soon.
Pod and Eastern.
Yep. Oh, yeah, both of them. We have the mirror, can do both easily. The bow coming with silvers so that we don't have to do the drop down to Ganon, get to the third phase of the fight to get the hint to tell us where the silvers are, so we can then go back and get the silvers. It is possible to do silverless Ganon with a hammer. I've seen it done. It's 24 hammer hits. The problem is the reason why we can do it pretty easily with a sword because there's only like 2 frames that Ganon can be damaged during the final fight. But with this, when you do a sword spin, you have like 30 frames where you're doing damage, so it's really easy to overlap those 2 frames. But if you're swinging a sword, or even worse, if you're using a hammer, you kind of have to be exactly on those 2 frames. So it becomes a much more difficult fight, and we don't want to have to make players do that.
So I was just thinking, we're getting close to go mode. Astor's going to tell us whether we have the medallion needed for TR. It is Ether.
It's Ether. So that's not a surprise, really.
So we need Ether, Hookshot, Samaria, and Ice Rod, and that's it.
Yeah, well, I mean, those are kind of some of the worst things to need, though. In particular, the Ice Rod and the Ether medallion.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you're down to 1 heart, this is really not viable for Spike Cave anymore, unless you can pick up a fairy here in one of these. Okay, I still don't think this is viable. What are we gonna do? We could mirror and farm again. I think we're frozen for. There we go.
Let's see how Hayfield handles this all.
Okay, so this is enough. It is enough. You can do Spike Cave with Kane with just 3 hearts and no magic extension. So this is very doable.
Yeah, but now with Astor's speed freezing, okay, we do get to see the all-important Bloopy in there.
That wouldn't have been a bad item to have got when he was at 496 rupees and trying to get to Zora money. And Hayfield's just going to flute away. Isn't going to bother with Spike Cave. But yeah, I imagine we're going to see dual pod Eastern plays right now. Oh, maybe not.
No.
Astor's going to go ahead and do... Yeah, he's going to go maybe do Skull Woods here.
Yeah, I would think Skull Woods first. You have the cape, so you can check Bumper Ledge and Graveyard Ledge.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen Boo yet.
Yeah, I like the pod Eastern play better. It's more items and it's 2 dungeons.
I agree. I mean, second and third gold. You know what's interesting? I'm sure both of these understand. Sorry, I am told that I wasn't speaking into the mic properly. I was saying we may or may not be logically able to do Ice Palace right now, but I'm sure neither runner wants to do it without Samaria.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like doing Ice Palace unless I have at least one of Kane or Hookshot. Hookshot, of course, is typically the logical thing, the thing that would put Ice Palace in logic fully. There's some niche cases with Kane, in particular, the small key being on Cold Stare. But, yeah, doing it without Kane and Samaria this early, one of the things we need. I think we didn't mention that as one of our items, or maybe you did and I missed it.
Yeah, I meant Samaria, Hookshot, Ice Rod, Ether.
Right. Oh, nice. We got boots. Which are as good in swordless as they are in regular.
And now you probably do grab that bottle off of library and check.
Yeah, because we haven't seen any other bottles yet. Actually, I don't think Azure might not have even checked library yet, so that might be why he's in this area. You can check library, get that bottle. You can check race game, which we know is nothing, and you can do those other south checks, the dig game, and get his half magic at Cave 45, which is the only really significant item besides that bottle. And Azure's just going to do front 4 Thieves down because it is a pendant. And there's Kane of Samaria for Hayfield.
Okay, so now Ice looks a bit more attractive to Hayfield, though that's also going to keep him away from Boots if he goes that route.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that Kane... of course, we're not going to want to do Meyer anytime soon, so... Because Meyer is a pendant, we hope never to touch it.
been to do Miner Shed. Desert's also a pendant, so that really is a disincentive to be in that area, though.
Yep. I think Azure's going to go ahead and do Skull Woods right now. So far, that Canis Samara is the only thing that Hayfield's found in Pod. If Azure can manage to get here, go minus Kane, then he won't have to check anything else. But I don't think we found the big key yet, so... You know, Pod is one of those dungeons that when you're in go mode can be really, really fast because the big key's early. Oh, we got it early? Okay, never mind. But yeah, go mode Pod is only a thing if you have a an early big key.
Yeah, when you see the big key in like Dark Maze, Harmless Hellway, you know that everyone's gonna be full for Pod.
Oh, there's a book. Actually, that's a really good place for that book, because now Azure's going to be able to check Ped. A little concerned about this 2.5 hearts for Moth, though.
Hey, and Hayfield got a fish notice.
Use an arrow here. The typical dash you can do here doesn't really work. You can't dash through without a sword.
Yeah, at least those silvers kill just about anything on one hit, except for the big eyeball of Vitreous and enemies that aren't vulnerable to arrows.
Yeah, I think pokies take 2 as well, but yeah, I mean, it's not a lot that... Yeah, it's just going to take that Death Warp, and that's actually going to give him more health to go back to the front. Meanwhile, Hayfield's going to go ahead and finish up Pod. It looks like the only thing that was there was that Candace Samara, but that's a fairly important item. If Azure wants to, he can get a couple of hearts here. But I would. He won't.
I mean, Hammer Moth is a not uncommon fight to have to do even in a sword mode.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you never have to do it in a sword mode, but hammer is usually better than, say, a fighter sword, so... This is where I would be missing that half magic. I like to do... I'm a big fan of doing Fire Rod Moth when it becomes available. Or part of that is because when I was a kid, I used to think that you had to use Fire Rod on Moth, that you couldn't do anything
actually.
Like, I mean, it's the item you got. It's the item you got in the dungeon. Surely you have to use it for the boss. Yeah, this is not looking like a very good start.
I didn't know about bombing Helma's mask as a kid. I figured, okay, that's what the hammer's for.
Yeah, as you're down to 1 heart, oof. Yeah, this is not good. Let me see if he goes back in. This is really bad for him. He's gonna go outside and check Ped, and we'll see what he decides to do. Not gonna really get an advantage here, because when Hayfield does this, he's gonna be able to check it as well, and of course it's gonna freeze right. No. Oh, Jabata, we don't.
That we didn't see Brewery.
Didn't get to see it. Okay, he's leaving. It looks like he's gonna go do Pod Eastern as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and follow Hayfield. We know what Azure's going to get in Pod, since we've already saw it on Hayfield's side. Let's see. So far, first check in Eastern was not interesting.
Yeah, 3 items in here, though, and most likely we'll see the full clear. I don't think Hayfield is the sort who'd take the 50-50 gamble.
No, not a lot of players will do that. We did have the moment in I think you were at breakfast with me as she live as one of the players skipped the big key chest, and how interesting it was to sit there, all of us knowing that he had missed a key item in that chest and discussing how does he get out of this one. You didn't. You couldn't. It didn't. But
that cost him the race.
it did indeed. There's the big key. Well, yeah. Now, yeah.
Items.
It is. No, I haven't either.
It's hard to count past 1.
Oh yeah. For those of you that say I'm a math person, counting is not math.
Okay, so there's at least 1 item outstanding. Can't remember if we've seen the compass.
We should interested to.
That's saying we do have the compass, so there will be an item both here and on this.
As you're getting his cane, I wonder if he will take a gamble and skip. Yeah, it's such a tough skip, but he's been known to do things like that. Let's see where he goes. No, he's gonna keep going. Okay, let's see what's over here in the big key chest. Oh, there's the big key. Okay, and it's nothing. So it would have been a good gamble. I think it's a worse when you know it's an item, it's a much more difficult skip to make.
What, pod big key chest?
Eastern big key chest, but yeah.
Oh, Eastern big key chest. Oh.
Well, pod big key chest, sometimes you can just know it's a small key, which I think is the case for this dungeon. Just neither one of them opened it. Because we got Cane of Samaria and big key, so everything else has to be a small key. And I was just gonna go ahead and do this hammer jump to save a. Okay, he hasn't. I don't think he's opened up the middle door yet. So these 2 small keys he can now use, and not have to open up the other chests.
Nice turn
to get to the back
by Hayfield on the popos there. I was wondering which weapon he'd use for them.
So not a whole lot. So absolute. Okay, we have 1 more item. Okay, absolute garbage in Eastern. And as you're not forgetting his mirror, but at 1 heart, it's probably better to just take the Death Warp.
I have to imagine Hayfield goes to the Skullwood Village of Outcasts area now. It's like Ice Palace would be kind of a risky play.
Yeah, I could see either one. Nope, he's going to
Ice Palace it is.
He's got that half magic in his pocket, which is definitely very useful for.
Yeah, but then I have to think about Ice Palace Hookshot one.
I could send you the cheat sheet. But I don't. I usually just miss what all the locations are, so doesn't matter. It's like okay. The big thing to remember with Ice Palace Hookshot logic, and it's not, is I think most people fall into the trap of thinking that if the big key is available, that means it's not hookshot locked, when in most situations if the big key is available, it actually is hookshot locked.
Yeah.
It's counterintuitive, but the reason why that happens is there are 2 key doors behind the big key. And you got to remember that key logic is all about, the good prize pack on the Pen Gators. But yeah, key logic is all, there's a hookshot, it's irrelevant.
Now we don't need to worry about hookshot logic.
Yep. But anyway, to finish the thought, the key logic is all about, can you use your keys in bad ways? And by having 2 small key doors available past the big key, it means, yeah, you can use your keys in bad ways if you go, if you have that big key. So,
Hayfield may regret not hitting the switch. We've found 2 items early already. If we find the 3rd early, he now won't be able to drop directly to Cold Stare because he didn't hit the switch.
Yeah, most of the time hitting the switch is or most of the time it's faster, I think, to not hit the switch, but there are any key layout that involves 3 items and say big key in iced tea, then it's not going to be quicker. This one is probably going to be pretty similar because big key was on path, and we might still have to go to iced tea.
Right, now he's fine. He just hopes that Freezor chest or the big chest has the 3rd item and he can go straight to Cold Stare.
Also to point out, that medallion spot is specifically so you can use Bombos. We talked about this earlier. That Bombos medallion for those Freezors has to be used right there. Azur's going to go ahead and do Eastern. It'll be interesting to see if he goes to Ice Palace after this.
And Hayfield is skipping iced tea. 50-50 here.
Yeah, and with the possibility with the fact that a small key can be on Cold Stare, it is exactly 50-50. Some of these other choices, it's not quite the same.
This is when you wish it were just Ambrosia, right?
No, I don't like Ambrosia.
Seems like Ambrosia generates almost as much controversy as Swordless.
Yeah, for sure. This is where that half magic is super nice for Hayfield.
And as I said earlier that he might do, he used the Bombos just to save as many magic shots as possible. Oh, and Ice Tea has an item.
Now, to be fair, it wouldn't surprise me. That's the kind of corner I could see Azure skipping as well, so we might be even on that one as well.
Yeah, Ether's in Hera Basement, and Ice Rod is an Iced Tea, right?
Yeah, there you go. That would be pretty evil. Are we gonna do Swamp Palace? Yeah, we're doing Swamp Palace next. But yeah, chat pointing out that when you don't hit this, I kind of like the skip of Iced Tea better if you did hit the switch. Because then to get there, I mean, there's some routing and some bomb jumping you can do to get there in other ways. But from the way that Hayfield was routing it, he would have had to fall down and then walk back up to get there if he'd hit the switch. But since he didn't hit the switch, it's pretty easy to walk.
I'm thinking we're in an interesting situation here. Like, Astor took that Moth Death, and he's going to have to go back there. But he also has the boots, and at the rate we're going, Hayfield may never get the boots.
Yeah, that Moth Death is really unfortunate for Azure, because I think he'd have a pretty clear lead if that hadn't happened. As it stands, I'd say Hayfield has a bit of a lead, but it's hard to say. And of course, with Ice Rod and Ether going to be our go mode items that can be anywhere. We didn't get to see that ped check that Azure did. For all we know, he already knows it's a ped seed. We might get some really good information on that if he starts doing pendant dungeons instead of crystal dungeons after this.
Yeah, I guess he'd already done the Front of Thieves, so he wasn't going to rush in and do the back.
No, of course not. Yeah, I would imagine you'd do like Mire Desert or something like that.
Thieves is also a green pendant. And did we find anything in the Front of Thieves besides boots, or what?
No,
3 items in the back?
Chat says it was a 3-item front, and I'll trust them on that one. Sorry, a 1-item front. 3 not good items. So yeah, just the boots and dungeon items beyond that. D-Web, who does a lot of the Super Metroid tracking, informing us that it was a 1-item front, both keys and a compass. So, and where does Azure go? He also go to Ice? Yeah, for him, this makes even more sense than it did for Hayfield. Unfortunately, he doesn't have that half magic, so he's not going to have quite as easy a Cold Stare fight. We are going to do left side here.
Yeah, 2 items from go mode, you generally do.
I would go back first, but then I always go back first. And then a lot of times there'll be like 1 item left, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm just going to skip it anyway. This is definitely a type of spot where Azure would cut a corner. So if this is something, this will be really big for Hayfield, and potentially a time loss if it's nothing.
But that's also an argument for doing it now because it's faster to do diver down when you can steal a key.
It is. Well, I always say faster doesn't mean fast, but even more so. Have we seen the big key yet? Because it's not fast. If the big key's in the back, it actually isn't faster to do this first, unless you just abandon the big chest. Like every bit of time you save from doing this first, you lose if you go back in for the big chest check.
Hey, the big key can always be locking itself.
It can. 2 items, so that's going to be pretty enticing for someone that went to the back first, but it is 2 crap items, so.
But yeah, now, if the big key's in diver down chest, you double back and do the big chest.
Yeah, some people will do that. Especially if you know how to avoid the magnet stairs.
So Azure didn't hit the switch either, did he?
I don't think he did. We'll see if it wouldn't surprise me if he also skips iced tea.
Yeah, as you were saying, you know, you take a moth death like that, you feel you really need to make skips to make up time.
Yep, that's that, and he also did the catfish check for nothing. So those 2 things combined have really put him in a not great position.
Little does he know, Hayfield still doesn't have boots. Oh, Azure's going for iced tea.
Okay, this is going to be a big moment here. If this is Ether or Ice Rod.
Look at that swag light blue on Mega Man from getting the blue mail.
And just rupees. That's unfortunate.
So, we still haven't seen the big key, have we, in Swamp? So 50-50, it's locking itself.
Yep.
Oh, chat saying that we've got 6 items and big key and compass, so either way, nothing to worry about.
We'll see if Azure goes back in for 2 items when he does Swamp. Assuming that's even what he does next. Okay, we're going to use some Bombos. And he's not going to have nearly as many Fire Rod shots as Hayfield did, so it's going to be a harder fight.
New boss?
Yeah, I hate menu boss. Like I'm one of the if I have a fighter sword, I'm using the sword.
Yeah, now Azure is gonna have to use hammer here. He doesn't have any.
No.
Oh no, another death!
Yeah, again, that half magic. Again, kind of, both in this fight and in the moth fight, if he'd had half magic, he would have been able to use the fire rod in both fights, and it just would have been much better for him.
Getting that bottle off of library would have helped him tremendously.
Yeah, because that would have given him a fairy.
And then once he used the fairy, he could, restock it with potion.
Mm-hmm. With blue, it's pretty easy to do that. Yeah, it's a good question. We don't know if he knows about the bottle because we were resetting everything, so it's unclear whether he went south to north or if he went south north to south and bought bombs and then went back up. And I'll see if Azure does. He's going to have to cut some corner. I don't think he's doing left side before or after. 2 deaths. Like, it's hard to win when you do have 1 death. It's really hard to win when you have 2. But this is still going to be go mode, Ether, and Ice Rod. So he's not out of it because like the Ether and the Ice Rod could just be in really bad places. And Azure's the type of player that's going to say, okay, I lost time to these 3 things because it's not just the 2 deaths, but it's also going to Catfish and getting nothing. He'll say, where's my opponent not going to check? Okay, so he's not going to go for the super dense locations. He's going to go for the locations that he hopes that Hayfield does not go for. And because that's how he knows if it's in one of those dense locations, he's already behind. He's already going to lose. And yeah. Also, the fact that he's going into Swamp and it's not going into a Pendant Dungeon tells me that most likely the pet is nothing. But hopefully Hayfield will check it and we'll know. With that convenient Skullwoods book.
Yeah. And of course, Hayfield with half magic is going to have a much easier time with Moth.
Yeah, because he can also do the Fire Rod fight.
Oh yeah, and also Blue Mail doesn't. I mean, the spikes
Blue
do
Mail
1
helps
heart
a
of
lot,
damage
yeah.
regardless, but has more health overall than Azure did going in.
And yeah, I would agree with Chad. The Ice Palace death is probably the more punishing one.
As these runners retrace their steps, we should also talk about, where they are in the grand scheme of the league at this point. Shaktool is fighting against relegation right now, which is really surprising because they were like 4th in season 3, barely
made
it into playoffs in season 4.
It's been a combination of bad matchups for certain modes. And just like last week, I don't think Hitaka and Ace had any time to practice Retrance, with Ace having been gone for SG Live. So it's just been kind of a bad set of matchups and just bad timing of things. But yeah, I mean, they're fighting it right now. Noble Foxes, I think they're 4-4 if I'm not mistaken. So for them, this is this is playoffs. On trying to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, puts them 4th place in the division. They just barely made it into playoffs last season.
It is a tough division too. Okay, so Azure gets his blue mail, for him yellow. And we're going to see the ped check.
Yeah, in terms of the division, Pugs and Last Location Years have just been dominating it so far.
Yeah, so just bombs, yeah. I mean, is anybody surprised that Pugs is dominating?
No, but the fact that Last Location Years is hot on their tail
I
is
know, right? Like,
impressive.
again, I think I've said this several times in various commentaries. Shout outs to our open finalists, Last Location Years being the 2nd place runner up to Bottles on Empty, both doing having really good seasons invitational.
No, I think they faced each other in the semifinals, and Last Location Years were 3rd.
Is that right?
Yeah, they played a bronze match against Uppsala Foxes.
Oh, okay.
JK Law was 2nd.
JK Law was 2nd. Okay, I knew there was somebody I was forgetting.
In any case, these are all teams that got
that truly
invites.
earned. Yeah, they truly earned their invitation to the Invitational League. Invitations to the Invitational League. There's got to be a better way of saying that. Hayfield still not going to Thieves Town. Still not going to have those boots.
As I said earlier, when Azure was up this way, given your item load, makes total sense to do Bumper Ledge and Graveyard Ledge here.
Mm-hmm.
Then he'll probably go to Village because it's one of the more dense locations.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just 20 rupees. We'll see if Hayfield, though, if he's going to go to Catfish, this is when he's going to Catfish. If he doesn't go now, he's never going. Nope, he's never going.
You gonna do the mountain alt? No, he's going back to Cat Portal. Okay.
And we're going to get a Bombos check.
Bottle, sick kid, right.
Yeah, he must have gotten a bottle somewhere else, because he still doesn't have the boots to get the one in the library.
Oh, the bottle was on Moth.
Oh, okay. And 300 rupees on the Bombos tablet. Just of note, to actually activate a Bombos or the Ether tablet, you do need to have the hammer and the book. Whereas to just use a medallion, you just need the medallion. But of course, it's only in those certain locations. Oh, it's Bombos from Misery Buyer.
But speaking of bottle and speaking of book, we didn't need to touch the front of Skull Woods.
No. Which is really nice. Also, when Azure goes back, he just does Moth. Azure finally going to get his half magic, which would have saved him a lot of heartache.
I'm surprised that, I mean, I'd be shocked if Hayfield actually dips Mire or Desert here because Village, he hasn't touched. It has a lot more item density.
You know, I kind of like the Mire play here, though, because the game gave you a Bombos medallion for a reason. And maybe it was... Because you have the Fire Rod for ice. So the fact that you have a Bombos medallion to go into Misery Mire tells me that, you know, maybe there's something there. The boots could also be a ticket to an item being in Desert that's important.
Yeah, but Thieves is green pendant. And so he'll do the 3 checks in Village. He can do Smith Chain, too.
As you're doing the cross key strat to check race game. You don't see that every day. So yeah, it looks like Hayfield going to go into Thieves Town. Maybe he completes it. Azure yes. I imagine Azure will be doing some Smith chaining here.
Skelly, our tracker, is remarking, you also don't often see a 1-hour race game check.
No, you don't.
Shoutouts to Skelly for doing that tracking.
Oh, of course, trackers always the MVPs. Can't do it without them.
Okay, so Azure's going to be our first to actually do Smith Chain.
Yeah, it looks like Hayfield's going to do Smith Chain before he does Thieves Town, which is interesting. Azure picks up his bottle.
And of course, now Azure's picking up that bottle that he could have helped him on the Cold Stare fight.
Could have helped on Cold Stare, could have helped him on Moth. And of course, without item dash, that's one thing I'd really like to be changed in Swordless, is allow item dash to work in Swordless. Because it really sucks to have to hit all these pegs when you have boots. Now, in Hayfield's case, he doesn't have the boots. So for him, it doesn't matter.
And Hayfield has a bottle. I don't think he's going to go out of his way to get another.
No, there's no reason to. But yeah, as you're having to do this the slow way.
And we still haven't seen Mushroom or Powder, so we are definitely not going to be doing Magic Bat.
Not now. Hayfield grabbing the purple chest. Yeah, what you could do is you could leave a mirror portal. Well, he can leave a mirror portal in front of Thieves Town right here. Oh, and then he can flute it away, turn it in, and then come back, and the portal's right there for him to go.
But now he can't check Bombos.
No, he can't check Bombos. Which we know is nothing, but he doesn't know that.
Oh, I missed Azure checking Bombos.
Yeah, it was 300 rupees, which, you know, at times is nice, but we're well past any use of that money.
Hey, there's our 4th sword.
Yay. What I would like to see from Azure is those. There's 2 boots checks. Of course, now Hayfield isn't going into Thieves Town. We'll see if he goes all the way to the back with 1 item front this late. It wouldn't surprise me if he does it, and it wouldn't surprise me if Azure also goes into Thieves Town, but maybe not. Maybe
Azure never did do Bonk Rocks or King's Tomb, as you were
No,
saying.
I'd really like to see
surprising.
those. I'd like to see those. I mean, he's got to assume that Hayfield has these boots, and therefore it's not to his advantage to check those.
Azure now having half magic should be in a much better position for the Moth fight.
Yeah, half magic blue male. This is much better. Hopefully he just goes to Moth and doesn't check the front of Skullwoods at all. Looks like that's exactly what he's doing. So de facto 4 items in the back of Thieves Town because we have the green pendant as well.
And just a reminder, we are looking for 2 very pesky items for our Go mode, Ether and Ice Rod.
Both runners, of course, hoping that they find the Ice Rod first so they don't have to make that decision of do I go into Turtle Rock looking for the Ice Rod. So yeah, these, and again, yeah, without those, it's the story of this match. Azure taking 2 deaths, one in Skullwoods on Moth and one at Cold Stare. Like, this is definitely his advantage if he doesn't take those deaths. Instead, Hayfield has a lead, at least in terms of the crystals. But Ice Rod and Ether Hunts can even things out.
Yeah, you never know. Once Azure finishes off Moth and goes back and finishes off Cold Stare, if Hayfield still doesn't have Ether or Ice Rod, it could be anyone's game.
Azure, please use Fire Rod.
Still.
Thank you. It's 8 shots with the Fire Rod. Of course, you got to get Moth off the spikes.
Welcome to our Raiders from the ALTTPR League 2. You're watching an invitational match here. Hayfield Bay of Noble Foxes versus Azure of Shaktool's Digging Game.
Okay, Azure gets his item off of Moth. I don't see Azure going back to Cold Stare until pretty late, because he knows there's no item there. So it's just something he's got to do whenever,
Yeah, I guess he'll do whatever checks he wants to do not on the mountain, and then do Cold Stare before he goes to the mountain.
Yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense. Let's see where he's headed now.
Because eliminate enough things, and then it becomes more and more likely that Ether is either vanilla or in Spike Cave or in Hookshot Cave or Hera Basement.
Right.
We have 6 checks left on the mountain.
Okay. I think this is going to be... I think Azure goes into Mire here. Again, his thinking, I need to find these things in bad spots that my opponent's not checking. It's not uncommon for people, even early, if it's especially a green pendant 1 item front turtle Thieves Town, you just do it. Like that happens all the time. So maybe does desert first. We'll see. Hayfield didn't touch this, so like if Ice Rod is here, that'll be pretty big. Ice Rod or Ether.
Nice hammer blind fight so far.
And we are boots locked.
Though of course we have Burna if the blind fight goes south, and Hayfield
yeah,
even has Val.
Burna for blind is really nice. With half magic, you could just leave it on too, if you have full. So unless it's green pendant turn in, there's nothing more in Thieves Town but those boots.
But we still haven't seen the 2 boots in the green pendant, and other than that, Desert Mire on the mountain.
Yeah. And I think we're going to get the green pendant turned in right away, which I like. Especially when you don't actually get anything else in a dungeon. I mean, you got the boots, but, that was like first chest, I think we do have an item on Landmo.
And shout outs to Gamachu, who would almost be beating Aga 1.
Okay, it was 2 items on the right side there for Desert. This means that Landmo definitely has an item. Azure's not going to go get it right now. And Hayfield Bay is going to... Okay, he's...
Oh, boots.
Okay, yeah, boots checks. It's not...
Faster than saving.
I suppose I'm, I've seen runners do this kind of play before, but... So we going into Mire? Yeah, this is going to be Mire for Asher.
Yeah. Yeah, Kingstream is our last hope, I think. Before Desert Mire or back to the mountain.
Yep.
Honestly, the mountain has the most items.
It does. And Hayfield didn't do Spike Cave, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, so for him it's 7. And here we go. Yeah, because Desert and Mire combined are only 4 items. It's a lot of work for 4 items.
Yeah, and we do know the last item is on Land Moat and Desert. Now, we might see Azure go do that after he's done with Mire. Hopefully Mire doesn't have the items on Vitreous. Although with the silver arrow, it's not as big a deal as it could be.
But also, as you were saying, Azure is clearly feeling behind after boss death. He's trying to do stuff that Hayfield like.
Yep, that's the way he plays. 100 on the... Forgot about the Ether Tablet. Hadn't gotten that either.
That's how he has to play if he wants to be in this, if he's just retracing Hayfield's footsteps.
No, exactly. Yeah, and I see other players do that sort of thing, and they'll retrace those footsteps, and I'll be, like, there's no way you can come from... Oh, there's an Ether!
What?
Yeah, and Azure's out. He says, you know what? I got that Ether. I bet he goes and kills Cold Stare, and then I imagine he'll go straight to Turtle Rock. And, hopefully an Ice Rod in Turtle Rock or Hookshot Cave.
I mean, Hayfield's gonna be locked in here. Hookshot Cave. Maybe he does Terra Basement?
I mean, if you get nothing else here, I think you do it. I think if Ice Rod is in Turtle Rock, I think Azure comes back. If Ice Rod is literally or in Hookshot Cave, I don't know. Because it depends on what Hayfield does next. If it's anywhere else, then it's Hayfield's to lose. It's not in Hookshot Cave. So Azure's going to do these boots checks, but I imagine he's just going to beeline it for the mountain. I think that's the right play for him. Okay, flute to... Where are we fluting to? Yeah, Hayfield's doing Hera Basement, which I think is the right play for him right here. I think we're going to get some potions first.
I mean...
After those deaths, I think that's probably smart. Although Azure does still need to kill Cold Stare.
If it's in Hera Basement, I think that's going to be GG Hayfield.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
way does Azure do that before full clearing GR.
No, Azure still needs to get Cold Stare. Which he's going to do now. Still needs to, and then needs to find Ice Rod in Turtle Rock. And for him, it has to be in Turtle Rock.
And
I forgot about this.
Of course, is one of the first checks in Mire, so once Hayfield's off the mountain, he's probably going to get.
So after this, quickly. I think he does Spike Cave. He might do Desert, though, before he does Mire. Especially now that he has boots.
God, of course, wondering about, what if this is the ultimate troll and Ice Rod is the second Mire item?
It could be. I think we're down to that in Turtle Rock now that we've seen Hera Basement. Yeah, and this will be Spike Cave for Hayfield.
He's got boots, he's got hookshot, he's got Burna.
And notice this time as you're
hunting.
hitting the switch, because he knows he doesn't have to worry about checking any items. In go mode, which this is essentially, that's what you want to do. So yeah, when I said advantage Azure for the Ice Rod in Turtle Rock, I totally forgot he still has to kill Cold Stare. So yeah, it really depends on how quickly Hayfield gets that ether. Does he do desert first? Does he do something? Does he go straight into Mire? How quickly does Azure finish Cold Stare? Ice Palace, not that. I mean, even quote unquote go mode Ice Palace is pretty fast.
And
Hayfield's going to do desert first, so that's not good for
odds
Hayfield.
are the Ice Rod is in Turtle Rock or Mimic Cave.
Yeah,
but...
we're down to okay, and Landmo. We have Landmo as well.
Right, that's what I mean. We have a second item in desert and a second item in Mire.
I could see the argument for Hayfield staying and getting the second Mire item and getting the second desert item. Azure has to be lying Turtle Rock. Like, if it's not there, he's got to feel like he just loses. But he is going to get to Turtle Rock first with Hayfield doing desert. Azure, use your fire rod. He's got the fairy at least.
Yeah, half magic makes this so much easier.
Okay, he's got a fairy, so it's reasonable to switch and save that potion. Although I think he's better at the other fights. Of course, we've got him. Okay, there we go.
Of course, the interesting thing is, if Azure doesn't take those boss tests, he probably doesn't do Desert and Mire as a desperation play.
Though, that's true.
The earlier boots would still give him an advantage.
Yeah, agreed. That is a really good point. If he doesn't take those deaths, I don't know that he goes to Mire. Like some players have a very predictable way of playing, and don't really deviate when these bad things happen. I think that the better players, because I've said it before, you see some players that full clear a lot, and that'll win you races, but that won't win you a tournament. It looks like Azure's going to check Ether Tablet on his way. He might even check Hookshot Cave on his way. But he's not going to do Harrow Basement.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he goes into TR without grabbing 4 quick items from Hookshot.
I would too, but I've seen him do that as a mistake before. Hayfield, in the meantime, might just win it right here by finding an Ice Rod on Landmo.
And hey, silvers for the Landmo fight.
Always nice to have. Oh, got a mushroom. Okay, so I think I turned that in. You can set a mirror portal near, far enough south. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because you can get back to Mire easy enough, but I think I checked that right away.
Do you do something silly like magic back first?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
It in.
And it's just heart container, which is nice, It also gives Hayfield the opportunity to buy a blue.
Likely puts Azure in the lead, though.
Likely, unless the answer is item 2 in Mire. And wait, where are we going? Pyramid Fairy. Is that where he's? This could be Catfish. Oof. We know Catfish is not the answer. And it looks like Turtle Rock is our other red crystal, so the answer won't be Pyramid Fairy. So that was a dumb statement by me.
But yeah, this is interesting. I mean, Shaktool needs this win to try to get out of the
The potential relegation hole.
Noble Foxes need this win to try to stay in playoff contention.
Yep. So cross purposes in terms of where these teams are.
And I have no idea what was in that second chest in Turtle Rock right side.
Azure now remembers he hasn't done Hookshot Cave. I mean, it's the right thing to do to check this first. Yeah, I think we saw a small key, so when he goes back in, we'll be able to tell if he has 2 small keys. Extra fairy is not a bad thing in Swordless. And he's just going to go right on back to Turtle Rock. So yeah, if the answer turns out to be the second item in Mire, Hayfield will be able to get back to it quicker. Because Azure's left a lot of things. Hayfield does have iced tea also available. But I think that's it.
Is he really going to do iced tea ahead of...
Second item in Mire?
Okay, no, he's doing Mire.
No, like, if Hayfield leaves Mire with the Ether Medallion, if your choice is iced tea versus second item Mire, 6 to 1, half dozen the other, like, which do you go back to? I don't think it's an obvious choice. But no, you're not going back to iced tea now before you go into Mire.
Right.
whereas Azure, after he's done here, if he doesn't find the ice rod, never mind, it's right there.
Okay, well, there we go. Go mode.
Yeah, to finish the thought, even though it's kind of irrelevant now, Azure has a whole bunch of things to check if that ice rod hadn't shown up.
Yeah.
So this has been a crazy race.
I don't know if that went through. What do you think? 3-minute man?
Yeah, something like that. It's hard to say. Hayfield's going to get his ether relatively soon. Was it this chest or was it the spike chest? It was one of the first.
It was bridge chest.
It was bridge chest. Okay, so Hayfield going to gain a little bit of time. So I'm pretty certain Azure did the spike chest first. Yeah, he's mirroring out, which is we know is the right call. Azure with 2 fairies, so really you don't have to worry about these 4 hearts as much. 2 fairies and a blue goo, so should be pretty okay for the rest of this dungeon. And we don't even have to do laser bridge, which is really nice.
Hayfield didn't actually get any bottles when he was in the magic shop, did he?
No, he filled one. I'm pretty certain he got a blue.
Oh, okay.
But I think he has just 1 bottle.
No, he has 2.
No,
there was one in Hookshot Cave.
He would have the Hookshot Cave fairy as well. So he has a fairy and a blue, and Azure has 2 fairies and a blue. Because Hayfield never got the one in the library.
Right. I mean, why would he? Since he...
I know, right? Yeah.
Got the one off Moth first.
Absolutely correct.
Oh, wow. And the key layout is such that we don't need to touch laser bridge.
We don't need to... Yeah, it's a really nice key layout for the runners. You go from not being in go mode to entering the dungeon to having basically the best key layout you could possibly have in this dungeon. Because, go mode Turtle Rock often really isn't. This is as close as it comes to having like an actual go mode Turtle Rock. But yeah, so Azure almost a full Turtle Rock ahead at this point. Does have to do this. This fight is non-trivial, but most runners are pretty used to doing this with hammer, because if you have even Master Sword, most runners will do this with the hammer instead of the Master Sword.
Yeah.
Azure's gonna spam the fire rod on the ice head. I like that.
I mean, the only difference here is that you can't do a spin attack on the 3rd head as it comes.
Right. Yeah, so you're gonna have to get, 5 more shots with the hammer. Male 2 fairies and a blue goo. He's gonna be fine. And down goes Trinex. I suddenly couldn't remember what boss he was on. And a shovel. Oh, that's pretty funny.
If you want to blow your channel points, you can use them
Ah, yes, numbers in chat.
to guess how many checks Azure will take. Unfortunately, I accidentally put that on 30 seconds rather than a minute.
So they have less time to get their guesses in on for points.
Like already over.
Oh, dang. So what were the? I know it was 10 different things options you can give them now.
So there were only a few guesses. I think I'm going to delete this because my bad.
I mean, we could do Fear Agent's new thing, which is guess the location. I see a tile room, which is somebody's always going to guess tile room, and a fire snake room. So
If Hayfield can get past these chain chomps.
Game chomps are no. Oh no!
Oh, he has the fairy.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's still gonna lose him time, but yeah, it's not nearly as bad. It's just, yeah, it's that fairy. Sucks to use it up. Oh, we get a red shield on the right side, and Azur's not typical one to go full right, even with this key showing up there. But since he didn't get a key, he doesn't even have a choice. Oh, high Quake medallion that's completely useless. Like, you think of medallions. Normally, you can find uses for medallions, even the Quake medallion. But in Swordless, if the Quake medallion isn't needed for a dungeon, really completely useless. Can't use it for anything.
Yeah, so I guess Hayfield's best chance here is if he does... Oh, never mind. I was going to say if he does Dark Magician and the keys on the right side, but
nope.
He'll still save a little time if he goes left first.
Yeah,
but...
yeah, which would be good. Honestly, I don't think it would have been enough anyway. I think this lead was enough that it would have taken like a tile room gamble type thing. But, you know, big key routing can change things. But yeah, so for those of you that came in late, the story of this seed, as you're taking deaths to both Moth and Cold Stare. So when we got to Ether/Ice Rod Go mode, he took the gamble to go into Misery Mire and the desert area to find Ether. And Hayfield, I want to say second to last location. Third. When Hayfield got Ether, he had Iced Tea and he had a second item Mire left. And that
from Hayfield's perspective, stuff like Green Pendant Thieves was a much better play.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely, I thought it was the right play for him. Azure had dipped Thieves Town, got one item in the front, but it was so early that, you know, some runners will just clear Thieves Town in that situation no matter what. A lot of runners won't. But by the time Hayfield got to Thieves Town, he was running low on checks. So it made all the sense in the world. You have de facto 4 items back there. I think it was a good choice for him. It just wasn't the answer.
Yeah, and you know, the amount of time it takes to do that and then turn in the Green Pendant is probably about the time difference between these two runners.
Yeah, reasonable. So yeah, the fact is though, and you mentioned it, if Azure doesn't take those deaths, there's actually no guarantee he's ahead, because taking those deaths incentivized him to try and figure out where's my opponent not going. So maybe he does Misery Mire when he does it, maybe he doesn't, but we might have a completely different race on our hands.
Though I think the early boots would still give him an advantage, because
the early boots were nice
until the hour mark.
Also, 1.5 hearts is not ideal here, but he does have 2 fairies.
It's surprised Azure's not using silvers.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, he's got half magic, so he's got plenty. He's grabbing the heart pot. I would have grabbed the heart. I tend to grab the heart in the magic pot here.
But speaking of half magic, Hayfield was just spamming that fire rod on the ice.
Yeah, they both did it. You can spam both rods to kill. Like we were talking about Moth and, you know, ways to kill bosses. As a kid, I thought you had to use the rods and only the rods to kill Trinox.
Yeah.
And on the ice side, it's a little bit harder because Fire Rod has splash damage that lets you stun the head a little bit easier and spam those shots. So you typically
and
won't see
also,
runners do that.
The
On the ice
initial
side.
fire rod shot damages the ice head. On the firehead side, the initial ice rod shot doesn't damage.
Right. Well, it's not that the initial shot it's just you get splash damage. So
Ah,
if the splash damage hits, then yeah, you get a damage on the first fire rod shot. Whereas ice rod doesn't have splash damage, so you're never gonna get that in there. As they're still down to 1.5 hearts. But again, 2 fairies, so you can play a little fast and loose here. Yeah. Also, yeah, menuing being a thing. Azure, of course, doesn't use quick swap. Fun fact: he tried it for the spoiler log tournament and absolutely hated it. Turned it off.
giving it a shot. He didn't grab the magic. I mean, yeah, he has lamp. Okay, fine, but still,
Yeah, I think that's a mistake.
I mean, I guess he has blue goo, so.
I mean, he should be fine, but yeah, that free magic pod would probably been a good choice. Yeah, to answer chat, he's got 2 fairies and a blue. And it looks like Hayfield was going to do Dark Magician strats, but will find the big key here and therefore will not do Dark Magician strats.
So if you had guessed 2 and Hayfield had been in first, you would have gotten it. But
yeah.
as it is, we should shout out Lana Bean for correctly guessing 4.
All right, Lana Bean's. Lana Bean likes to hang out on my channel. I like Lana. Get to see her win some bragging rights.
Someone I haven't commed with in quite a while, though.
All right, so we have to do this with Hammer. Bugnet sitting on Lumberjack. So we weren't going to get that unless this became an Aga seed for Dark World. And even then, questionable whether you'd go get it.
Even then, you beat Aga 1 with Hammer. So one way or another, right? You're doing a Hammer Aga.
That's right.
Aster did get a double there, which is pretty nice with Hammer strats.
Yeah, Hammer makes this a lot more difficult.
I mean, it won't be enough, but, if Hayfield does a faster Aga too, he could certainly make up.
I mean, I think he'd have to take a death. Like, we always talk about the Ganon Falls. But then Ganon Falls, as we all know, really don't lose you a bunch of time. But the thing that would lose someone a bunch of times is an actual death at the top of Ganon's Tower, which almost never happens. I did call a race once where one of the players was really close to death at the top of Ganon's Tower. The more common one that I have seen happen is players in an Randomizer mode, which we'll see in week 7, getting grabbed by a hand at the top of Ganon's Tower. I've definitely seen that before. So this will be 12 hammer hits in the first round, 12 hammer hits in the second round, 4 like usual in the third, and then of course, the 4 silvers in the final round. All right, Astor already in phase 3. Kind of blinkety and missed it. Like I know he's very adept at using the hook shot for iframes, which you see a lot of runners do. And of course, that's hard to do when you have to menu to it. I guess that's kind of the standard strat in sword mode, is using that, making use of those hook shot iframes.
I really hope Astor's internet doesn't freeze when he's crossing the bridge. Speaking as an admin, I don't want to have to try to get a VOD for that.
Rest assured, I know for a fact he always locally records. Speaking as a fellow admin for a different set of tournaments. Because, yeah, I've been there and done that with players when they don't have the local recording, and then it becomes a real issue.
Nice double, though. And get your GGs in for Astor, who has come back from multiple boss deaths to take this match, give Shaktool's Digging Game their second win of the season.
And he's going to cross that bridge with a kind of a fun time of 132.32. GG's to Asder and Shaktool's Digging Game. Looks like Hayfield Bay has seen the... Maybe just doesn't want to do the... I don't blame him if he just doesn't want to do the Ganon fight. Did throw in the towel right after.
That is keeping it close, being on Moldorm 2 when your opponent
Yeah, this was a very close fight, close race.
finishes.
Hopefully we can get both runners in for an interview. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever done the swordless Ganon fight. It's, I think I did it with lots of blue and lots of refills. It's not the fun fight that we're all used to.
Yeah, I've never tried it. I don't think it would go well for me.
Do we need to give them invites or something?
They should be getting them.
Asher's teammate Ace in chat saying, when asked if he was nervous, he says, not at all, since he was late getting out of work and missed all the deaths. Sometimes missing the early part of the game is less stressful.
I don't see any bot errors from trying to send the invites.
We'll communicate with the runners in the race room, and we'll find out.
Yeah, not sure what's going on.
Yeah, that 6 points gonna matter. And I think Shaktool knows that playoffs are out for them. I don't think this necessarily ends Noble Fox's chances at playoffs. It definitely makes it a lot more difficult. I have to see who they're playing. Let's see who our runners are playing, our teams are playing coming up. So Noble Foxes have to play Tile Roomies in week 6, and oof, they haven't played Pugs yet. So a couple of really good teams, but yeah, that'll be a rough one to try and get through in week 7. On the other hand, Pugs might not be playing for much. It might relax on them. Whereas Shaktools is playing in their last 2 weeks. They're playing Bolas Azulis in week 6, and then Last Location Years. So that's another tough one. That week 7. Both of them are going to have really tough week 7 matchups. Yeah, still hearing nothing. And we can at least let the credits run, and while we're waiting on this, we can check out what the schedule is bringing us upcoming tonight. Right now, probably still going on SpeedGaming 7, which I have on good authority, i.e. Drosty's authority, just got affiliate.
Yeah.
We have Potato Pouch versus the Eastern Skippers. That's Magno versus Zelgadison. Looks like that's the last race for today. But a few races tomorrow. We have 8 o'clock. We have To Infinity and Pagag versus Leftovers Forever. That'll be Relkin versus Chimo. At 9:10, we have JKLOL versus He Came From. That'll be Kaisden versus Ahab. And at 10:40, we have WJPDTB versus the OK Dudes. That'll be JP Brewers fan JP versus Telethar. So definitely some interesting matchups coming up.
Yeah, kind of interesting that we have this 24-hour gap, though.
Okay, Azure says he's not going to come in for the interview today. Maybe he's just a little too tired to come in. I can't speak to Hayfield Bay, so.
Yeah, I mean, I can DM him quickly, but I'm guessing it's unlikely if he hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, probably not. I know it's. You said he's like in Norway. Did you say? Like it's like 8 hours. So 7 hours ahead of Eastern, so 8 hours ahead of me. So he's like,
yeah,
like 2
he's in
a.m.
Norway. His English is fine.
No,
but...
I'm just thinking of fact it's like 2 a.m.
Oh yeah, that is true. 1 a.m.
What? Okay. Yeah.
But as we discussed, they get 2 hours of daylight there anyway this time of year.
Yeah, I don't know. We talked about that earlier. I don't know if I'd like that better, if that's better or worse than having all daylight all the time. But yeah, I don't blame him for wanting to go straight to bed after what happened in this race. Both our runners putting on a good show. Yeah, so we're just gonna let the credits finish up, and then we'll go ahead and close it out from there.
Yeah, might as well see Azra's.
Well, we'll see his menu time, which is his comment in the race room.
Also,
because also he actually has menu times.
Right. For other things going on though, since that definitely check out the SpeedGaming 7 match, but that's probably going to be over before too long. We have Metroid Prime 2 randomizer going on SG2 right now. Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster on SG5. In about 25 minutes, we'll have Chrono Trigger Jets of Time on SG Main. So lots of different races to check out around here.
Yeah, that Metroid Prime 2, that's another one that Azure's in that just started up. Pretty interesting randomizer, but I can't play 3D games, so I'll watch and be very confused.
Yeah, I'm also not one for 3D games.
Old.
I've never done like Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker.
Yeah, I can't do 3D games. It's just I just lose track of everything, which means they don't make games for me. But then I'm old, so they still wouldn't make games for me. So.
I was gonna say we're showing our age. All the youngins, it's like, oh, 3D games. Of course they're 3D. 141, not bad.
I mean, the first randomizer I ever played was a game called Adventure on the Atari, which level 3 was randomized. If those of you that maybe have never played that before, check it out. It's actually a pretty fun game. All right, there we go. I missed the menu time, but his comment, it was 4:34 menu time from his comment. So if you don't already follow these runners, Drosty's put the command in chat. Also, Drosty, myself, is Skelly. If you feel like stopping by my stream, I'd be happy to have you. But yeah, Drosty, glad we signed up for this one.
Yeah, it was quite the race. I
saw you on the list. I said I gotta commentate a race with Drosty. Although I think the last one we did was in person. So
I think so.
And
yeah,
of course,
which one was that? I think
was that Ace and Korek? I want to say Ace.
That sounds right. Korek. Yes, they were battling it out, right? Because it was like, if you want clear resolution, root for Ace. If you want chaos, root for Korek.
Right, which was kind of fun in and of itself. And of course, shout outs to Skelly doing the tracking. Tracker's always the MVP, keeping us honest. Huge shout outs to him. Definitely appreciate it. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. Hop on over to newly affiliated SpeedGaming 7 and catch the end of the other race. Otherwise, we'll see you
if we can do a raid. Okay, but yeah, thanks again for watching, everyone, and have fun.